Hey y'all, my head is splitting. Um, Recognize these walls. I'm in the hospital in the lounge area again. Um, I went in Isaiah's room looking for my phone for the house phone this morning, and I saw all the food and stuff that the wrappers and the bags and the everything that he throws on the floor. I started picking them all up, and I found the jar of jelly out of the refrigerator with a spoon in it, open, stuffed under his um, dresser, and I tossed it on his bed, and he immediately started saying, "You threw that at my head. You threw that." I guess there's been several stories already. You threw that at my head. You threw that at my neck. You threw that at my whatever. And I went over to pick up the jar so it wouldn't get all over the floor. And I told him, Isaiah, just stop it. And he told me, get the F out of my face. And then it proceeded to, when he got out of control, I told Keith to call the police. And when he was getting ready to do that, Isaiah came into the kitchen and grabbed my nice big butcher knife and went in the bathroom and locked the door. So he called 911, and I managed to. It has one of those holes that you can open, on the door. So I got in there, and I got the knife away from him. But then he went and got screwdrivers, and he said, "Do you want me to put these in the wall or in my brain?" He said, "You don't care. Either way, you don't care. You don't care. You don't care." And he put one hole in the bathroom wall, left the screwdriver there, but he put several holes with a screwdriver in his bedroom wall. And then he banged his head against the old patch on the wall that he had broken a couple years ago that I had patched. He banged his head until he had a hole there. Then he picked up a chair and threw it against the wall, put another hole in the wall there. He also picked up the bar stool that's by the kitchen counter and threw it across the room. But yeah, this is more severe than the last time he went off to a psychiatric hospital. But this time they came and did an assessment, and they said they didn't think he needed to go anywhere. I said, why do you think that? It's worse than it was last time. Last time there was no weapons. This time there's weapons. She said, well, you can appeal or get a second opinion, which I'm doing right now. His probation officer is now finally talking about residential treatment because she's had a few run-ins with him. There's a couple reasons why he's not real happy this week. She took his phone away yesterday, and she told him he was going to boot camp for cussing us out the other day when he was cussing us out and saying awful things to us, which is just about a daily if things aren't his way. We're being abused at our home by this young man and bullied because he bullies us. Well, the jar of jam now has, the doctor said he had to report it to CPS because it's allegations of abuse. So I said, well, maybe they can take me to jail, and that way they'll have to take Isaiah because I'm his only guardian. Keith isn't on the paperwork, and that's by just a mistake, y'all. He was on all the paperwork when we first got him, and then at the very end, because we were out of state, they just kind of rushed through things at the very end. It was during pandemic. Anyways, his name didn't get put on there, and I think that's probably a good thing at this point, because if something happens to me, then he's done. So I know, everybody maybe thinks I make too much of this or whatever they think, or there's a lot of bad teenagers out there or whatever. Um, we're being abused in our own home by this young man, and we have to let him stay there. Even him punching holes in the wall, it's nothing, I guess. Something needs to change. I know that I'm not the only person going through this, but the thought of loading him back up in my car and taking him back home and having him sit down in front of his video games in that bedroom that's trashed with the holes in the walls, but he doesn't care about, I mean, maybe it's a little thing, but I have family coming for Thanksgiving, and I'm tired of living this way, y'all. I'm tired of living this way. And nobody seems to want to help us. And I know that there are places out there, and I know that he has done enough, that he should be in one of them legally. I know it. And I don't understand why we're not getting help. And legally, I have to take him back to my house. I cannot say, there's the road, you chose it, you can't come back and bully us. I can't even do that. I can't. The situation is out of control. We have told our children, if anything happens to us, to get legal counsel and go after the city or whatever, because this is awful and nobody's helping. I think they're trying to, I don't know. I keep being told, I've been told a lot of different things. I've been told the laws don't allow them to help, but then I find out when that particular person decides that enough has happened, that yes, we can do more, but they have to decide that it has to be their personal opinion, or it has to go by a certain written criteria. And they don't know the level of what goes on in our home. So I just thought I'd put this out there because there's other people like me. You just gotta keep trying, and you gotta keep doing what you think is right. And I am. Take it easy.